We're delighted to welcome you all here from many different time zones, I'm sure. So I'm Sarah Phibbs. I'm the Research for Life Publisher Partnerships Director at STM. And I've also had the enjoyable task of working with the Research for Life group on developing their strategic plan and theory of change as a consultant. And so we have two sessions. One is planned today for our users and next week for our partners. And this is the first time we've held these events. So the format might flex in the future, but we're really hoping this will be an ongoing communication tool for us to share what we're up to. So here's our agenda for today. And Gratian will kick us off, and then Blessing, who will introduce the Country Connector project, and then Richard and Eric, and finally Stephen as our Country Connectors representing Liberia and Ghana. And we'll take questions at the end. If you'd like to post in the Q&A box, Kimberly will be hosting the questions and answer sessions later. So please use the chat, as some people are already doing, to introduce yourselves so we know who's on the line. And otherwise, I'm going to hand over to Gratian, who's chair of the Research for Life Executive Council and executive director at ITOCA, and he's going to set the scene.
Thank you very much, Sarah, and good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'm glad that we've got this opportunity to discuss Research for Life and really look at the goals that we have set ourselves for. A strategic plan that we have
you want to send it to
really allowed us to explicitly talk about the goal of 2030. By 2030, we would like to make sure that we have got an inclusive and diverse, equitable scholarly communication environment that enables lower income researchers to address societal challenges that they may have. Our aim is to ensure that by the end of the day, it is the researchers that are at the center of the Research for Life work. We want to make sure that whatever we do in terms of adding value, it is aimed at ensuring that the LMIC researcher can do their work better. They can be able to get access to the research that is available internationally, but also really look at what is available locally and be able to address the challenges that they have at the end of the day. Next slide, please. What we have in there is an exciting approach to the kind of offering that we have. If you look on the right, you will see that as far as the Research for Life discovery is concerned, we've got quite a huge collection of journals and books. And also these are being published from regional level, nationally and internationally. And we've got multiple languages. And of course, the idea is to address all the gaps that we have under SDGs. That's what we're trying to do as far as collection is concerned. But also, if you go down to look at the quadrant number 2 that we have there on exchange, we are aiming to exchange knowledge as far as the networks that we have are concerned. We have got, in terms of our structure and membership that we have, I'll talk a little bit more about that, but we also have committees that are driving the work of Research for Life. And of course, we are continuing the conversations with the editors and board members that are in the collections that we have as far as the journals and the books are concerned. On our third quadrant, and that is exchanging knowledge, working with librarians, with researchers, with publishers, we are listening to the ground on what is happening in terms of the challenges that they have at the research institutions, at the colleges and universities, what they are doing in their labs as far as research is concerned, but also trying to ensure that that knowledge, we exchange it through our portal and through the journals and publications that we have. So that is crucial. Not only are we piping out and making sure that this collection continues to grow, but we're also listening on the ground as far as the actual research and scholarly communication is concerned. And of course, on quadrant number 4, that the idea is to ensure that our publishers, our member publishers, are working with the best practices that we can come up with and the advice that we are as a collective are giving and based on our learnings as far as open science is concerned, as far as publishing is concerned, and of course, as far as ideas, for example, and standards to do with waivers and discount programs that are benefiting those that are coming from the lower income countries. So all this work that we are doing is really pivoted on the issue of equity. As far as equity, diversification and inclusion is concerned, we want to make sure that at the end of the day, we don't leave anyone behind. Everyone, whether you are coming from a developed or developing country or from any regions, as far as we are concerned, you must be part of the conversation. And the idea of the offering of Research for Life is to address your needs. Let's go to the next slide, please. So if we look back in 2023 at the successes and the deliverables that we have set ourselves to achieve, it is exciting to note that we have achieved quite a lot in terms of what we had set in terms of targets. If you look on the first one, the local agency, the program that we have, the Country Connectors, that now spans across 10 low to middle income countries, we see that the Country Connectors program is really taking hold. And of course, in addition to the work that we've done in Ukraine, we are getting to the researchers on the ground and actually working with those who are in the local institutions to make sure that we are well represented. And again, they've got their ear to the ground of what is really happening with the researchers that are benefiting from the Research for Life. We also have done quite a lot in terms of really trying to listen to what is happening. And we carried out the drop-off study last year and speaking to really the users to say, what are the barriers? What are the challenges that you are facing in your day-to-day kind of work? And how can we try and address that? And we've really collected that evidence, and that gathered evidence is what is now driving the strategy that we have as far as the offerings that we have. We also have got the user-led kind of work that is being done under the country connectors as well. And this is really focusing on doing training. It is focusing on getting the word out there with the ambassadors, and also making sure that we are speaking to the hierarchies that are at institutions, at organizations that we are partnering with at the institutional level and the country level. We also have done quite a bit in terms of their training, making sure that the researchers themselves are not only consuming what is available and coming through from Research for Life, but also they've got the skills to be able to publish what they are working on in their areas of specialization. The MOOCs that we are running, and we have run quite a number of series on there, again, are aimed at ensuring that we are upskilling our constituencies and making sure that the courses that they want and the gaps that they have, we are addressing those and contributing to building their careers as researchers. We also have got a platform that we are networking with the different researchers coming from different regions and giving them an opportunity to work with other colleagues in their areas of specialization. And that's actually been quite encouraging under these training programs. The additions to the collections itself and the numbers of institutions that are actually participating now, we saw over 500 new institutions registered last year, which was quite encouraging. That means that the demand is there. The users really want to get on board to be able to use what is available, and also, of course, to build on their skills as well. In terms of the targets that we have now in terms of collections, we now reached the 200,000 milestone. And this is quite encouraging as far as the collection is concerned. And we've got added new books, journals, and other objects that are available in terms of resources under our collection. We also have got a whole hub of training materials that are available openly, and users can actually adapt these for their audiences, and that's quite encouraging. We are obviously looking at improving the whole model that we have, and membership is encouraged, and we are getting a lot of contributions from the members, coming all the way from the researchers themselves as individuals, but also from the publisher members and other technical partners that are contributing to ensure that at the end of the day, we continue to grow and strengthen the offering of Research for Life. So these are quite exciting, and we are hopeful that this year we will continue on this trajectory, and Research for Life will continue to really listen to what is happening on the ground and trying to address and give an offering that actually makes a huge difference on the ground. Thank you very much. Back to you, Sarah.
Thanks, Gratian. I'm going to stop sharing now so Blessing can share her screen. So she's going to take us through the Country Connector project. Blessing is the Country Connector program manager, and she's going to talk about how we are catalyzing user engagement and local level access. So over to you, Blessing.
Thank you so much, Sarah, and hello to everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. Good to have you. I'm going to talk about the Country Connector initiative, and I'll assume that for some of our colleagues, they might not know about this project, so I'll start right from the start. So this is an initiative that Research for Life has always wanted to do, which enables us to work more closely with the users at country and regional level. So our goal really with the Country Connectors is to heighten the awareness of information use, but of Research for Life in the countries, and strengthen the capacity of that information use and management. We also aim to build communities of evidence users within the national and regional levels, and to fully implement the Research for Life strategy within our different countries. So what we do when we implement, we try and understand the nuances of each country and each region, and then create a tailored approach to the networking, the promotion, and the research side for information skills building throughout the countries and the regions as well. The work that we have been doing started in 2022, and when we initially started, we had 6 countries, that is the United Republic of Tanzania, Bhutan, Ghana, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Kenya. In 2023, we added more countries, so that's the Democratic Republic of the Congo, El Salvador, Senegal, Republic of Moldova, and we also have Ukraine joining us as an associate country. In 2024 now, we have just recently formalized our relationship between Research for Life and Kyrgyzstan, so we're really happy to have the colleagues from Kyrgyzstan, and we are now working to bring on board Papua New Guinea, Peru, Somalia, Libya, and we're in discussions with Eswatini as well. So just a bit of a background in terms of the process that we go through. So as you know, we've got more than 125 countries that are eligible and that are participating within Research for Life. So as much as we want to make sure that we have an equal coverage of the countries that join the Country Connector initiative, we had to come up with ways that remove biases, but that also enable us to kind of level the selection of the countries. So we do have a country rubric, that's our first stop, where we consider different methods or different measures that we put. So we look at different indicators, and then we select from the 125 plus countries. And after we've got a short list, we then, out of the countries that are picked, we then apply an institutional rubric, where again, we look at specific indicators around the best institution for us to partner with in the country. So you will find that in some countries, we are not only partnering with institutions, but we're also partnering with associations. So it depends on the structure of the country, the institutions that are available, and also the strength of the different associations that we have. So these associations could be library associations, they could also be research associations. We then do a formal agreement with the host institution as a partner to the project or to the work. And the work that we actually do is measured. So we have a monitoring evaluation framework, and I'll speak a bit more about it in a few minutes. With the actual work, we do work with the Research for Life operations head, myself, we have a senior capacity development advisor, that's Lenny Ryan, and also we have worked with Itoka, helping us with the administration support. In terms of our alignment to the local priorities, we started at the global level where we really consider the Sustainable Development Goals and then look at the regional development goals for each region, and then go into the country and understand what are their national development plans and how does research fit into those national development plans. You'll find that with most national development plans, they have a pillar that speaks to knowledge economies. And within those, we then look at the different indicators and the different priorities for each country and align ourselves to that as well. In understanding the country and the region, we prioritize the research priorities for the country, the policies. We also consider what type of policies are there that support the work that we're doing, or the gaps in the policies, and who can we potentially work with in the countries and the regions to make sure that we boost the research capacities as well as the research production or outputs in the countries. We look at the gaps within the research cycle and see where we can actually build skills beyond using Research for Life. So we want to look at the full cycle of Research for Life. And if you look at some of the work that has been done and mentioned by Gretchen, you see that Research for Life is really focused on making sure that we complete that cycle. We also try and understand the different stakeholders that are in that country and how we could potentially work with them. And in terms of the research industry, we then target potential partners so that we have some collaboration, and we try and understand the different innovations coming from the countries as well as the region. Here I've just given some example of some of the activities that we are currently doing. We have physical workshops because we still recognize that in many of the countries, this is a high need for physical workshops. We also have physical meetings. So some are not per se workshops, but they're meetings, whether it's with management or policymakers or with the actual users, which are researchers and students and the like. We also run webinar series to enable us to segment different targets of the user population within the countries. And we do participate a lot in conference presentations, exhibitions around the country. And in some cases, what we've started, especially last year, we run local grants where the country connectors send out a call for applications, and we have a review process and we provide mini grants to the institutions, because we know that in some geographical locations, it's not possible for the country connectors to go physically to all the areas. We align ourselves with the communications committee. So we do a lot of communications, whether it's social media or whatever works in that country. So whether it's WhatsApp, SMS, phone calls, and the like. And we support the MOOCs and the capacity development work being done by the Capacity Development Committee and Itoka as well. And we provide the local publisher capacity building as well. We have a lot of outreach work that we do. So here I just gave the example from Bhutan and Liberia, where just to give an idea of how we map out our strategies and how we then segment the countries and make sure that we try and reach as many of the users, librarians, researchers in the country as well. We have a specific target, especially for the unusing or low usage institutions, to help us understand what the problems could be, even if it's beyond just access or login, access to login details for the institutions. I've put in a picture of an institution. This is actually in a library in a remote region in Liberia, where upon arrival, one of our country connectors saw that the major problem was that the building had bent down and was actually in the process of being rebuilt. So really understanding what the problems are so that we can step in. And we use also this outreach work for us to extend our ambassador network. So ambassadors are those people that will continue to work with us and support the work that is being done by the country connectors. And I really want to use the platform to make a call for all the users who are interested. If you are from any of these countries please reach out so that we can have you as an ambassador if you're interested. So we really thrive on partnerships and collaborations. So I talked about initially the host institutions where we have the formal agreements, but we also have the likes of research and education networks. This could be at regional level or also at national level, because we recognize that we do need the right infrastructure, whether it's internet, whether it's hardware at the institution. So we also partner with the local organizations that are aligned to research and education. We partner with government ministries and research institutions to also help influence policy and to make sure that we are aware of what policies support the work that we are doing. Here I want to give a specific example of a partnership and a collaboration that we've engaged with the Director of Open Access Journals. And this is really exciting for us because from last year, DOAJ has come on board to help us make visible the research that is coming out from the low and medium income countries. And this is one of the strategic priorities for Research for Life as a whole. So we have been working with DOAJ to run the 4-week courses with the local publishers, where we cluster countries together, identify the local journals, and provide them with an accredited course, which is, of course, got a small evaluation at the end, but it's an accredited course from the National Academy of Sciences in South Africa. And this course is currently available in English. And this year we're expanding to provide this course in Spanish and in French as well. So like I indicated, we have a process, and I'm really happy. This is an example of the course that we ran last year in collaboration also with the committees, the Capacity Development Committee, as well as the Content Strategy and Policy Committee. And we are really open to more partners to support local publishers. We continue to partner with library associations, research academies, technology companies, and the UN country offices in the different countries that we work. In terms of widening our national and regional reach, we have the ambassador network that I really want to emphasize again. And we work through the country connectors to help identify potential ambassadors. And we also work through the user group to make sure that they are aware of this opportunity to become ambassadors for Research for Life. And I spoke about the mini grants, which also enable us to then support and equip the ambassadors to do the work that they're doing within their institutions. And we also have an opportunity, if you'd like to volunteer for Research for Life, there's an opportunity right now for content verification. So if you're interested, I will post my details in the chat room, and you can let me know if you're coming from the countries that we are currently implementing. The country connectors themselves have become members of the committees, the Research for Life committees, and our aim to collaborate with these different committees that are listed here, from capacity development all the way to content strategy and policy, is to understand and be able to implement the plans that the committees are working on, because all the plans that the committees have really speak to the strategy of Research for Life. And we hope to make sure that that work filters down into the countries that we're working in. In terms of our outcomes and impact, we have a monitoring evaluation framework with six specific outcomes that we then break down into different indicators and activities that we're doing in each country. So far, we have some observations in terms of the impact areas and some cascade effects of the in-country work that we're doing. We do have increased usage, an increase in the numbers for all 6 outcomes. We have new registrations coming out from the countries, and we have higher levels of communication between the institutions and between the institutions and Research for Life, which is something that has been happening, not necessarily because of the outcomes, but it's been happening naturally. So we're observing some of these changes. And the really exciting part is already we're starting to see some of those south-to-south collaborations between the countries and within the countries as well, in terms of the research work that they're doing. And we are really happy that this process has enabled us to collaborate with research bodies in the countries and the regions as well. Here I've just put some examples for some of the patterns that we're seeing within the countries. So for example, in the United Republic of Tanzania, we see that from the time that we started working as country connectors, there has been an increase in the usage of Research for Life. In some countries and in some cases, we also try and monitor and understand when there's a drop in the usage. So I've kept this example of Bhutan, where you see that there was a spike, but then in some instances there was a drop. And we then try and go and understand what is the problem in that country and how can we step in. I'm really happy that since then, we've actually managed to understand the problems in Bhutan and are working to make sure that we raise the numbers again back to where they were beginning of and end of 2022. This is the similar case in Ghana. From the time we started working in Ghana, we've seen continued growth in the number of people using the Research for Life platform, as well as growth in the number of citations and research output that is coming out from the country. Similarly, in Sierra Leone, where we had extended periods of low numbers, we have then seen spikes in the numbers of users from the country. So for us, this really shows the impact that we're having. In a country like Ukraine, which is an associate country connector, we've seen that despite all the instability that has been there over the past 2 years or so, there has been continued growth and steady growth of the usage of Research for Life. So we're very happy that in the case of Ukraine, it was really an impetus from their side to say we want to become a part of the work that you're doing. And we have brought on board Ukraine as an associate connector. And I'm really happy that we have seen significant stability and growth in the way that they're utilizing the resources as well. In terms of our support, all this work that we're doing has really been enabled by the financial support from Friends of Research for Life. And this includes multiple Research for Life publisher partners. And we're really looking forward to continue our work with them. I must also highlight the Elsevier Foundation, because without them, we would not have been able to also kickstart and really bring to fruit the work that we're doing. Similarly, we have a lot of support from Springer Nature, who have been very good to select specific countries that they want to work with us. We have a lot of support from the World Health Organization, the American Chemical Society, as well as the local host partner institutions who make sure that our work is actually implementable in the country. So I really want to acknowledge this, because without them, we would not have been able to have a proof of concept, but also continue the work that we're doing. There are a few photos. I know I'm running out of time. Of what some of the work that we're doing in the countries. There's a whole lot that I could talk about, and I hope that we'll be able to engage even after this meeting to explore more of what we're doing in the countries. But I'm sure some of my colleagues from the countries will be able to give more details on the work that they're doing. So looking to the future, we really want to extend our outcomes, deepen the current work that we're doing, and strengthen the partnerships and the collaborations that we have at country and regional level, and enhance those South-to-South linkages so that we have research that we convert into innovation and knowledge economies. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Fabulous, thank you, Blessing. Right, so I'm going to put my screen back up. There we go, and I'm hoping that Richard and Eric are here. I can't see you on the list, but hopefully you can unmute yourselves and start to say hello. But Richard and Eric are joining us. They are our country connectors from Ghana, and they'll be able to, I think, share their slot together to talk us through their experience.
Thank you very much, Sarah. I hope everybody can hear me.
Yes, great.
And then my colleague Eric is also on the line. So we are reporting from Ghana, and as Blessing mentioned, the country connectors, we were selected by the Ghana Library Association. So the Research for Life contacted Ghana Library Association, and they appointed us to be the country connectors. So I am Richard Bruce Lamte. We have Miriam Linda Akuri, and then we have Eric Amponsan. So what I'm going to take us through is just a quick one on the research country connected work in Ghana, some few activities, the areas of growth, areas to improve, and then a quick summary of it. So basically, Research for Life is officially represented and promoted by Ghana, by Ghana Library Association, the council. And then I will say here that the Council of Ghana Library Association in turn, as I said, appointed 3 of of its members. So one in the north, one in the south, and the one in the middle area. Because I mean, there are quite a lot of work that could be done. So these are the pictures. So we can see the picture, the face of these three gentlemen, 2 gentlemen and 1 lady, and they are all librarians. As I said, they were appointed by the Ghana Library Association and by the Council of the Ghana Library Association. And we have also appointed within us, we have also appointed some few of ambassadors. And these are the ambassadors also coming from different universities. So we have one coming from University of Cape Coast, University of Development Study, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, University of Mines, and then we have the Health and Allied Sciences. We have the University of Ghana, and another one from the north, which is CKTU, and then the UNE, which is in the the area. So these are some few pictures of their faces. Maybe we can see there are some few of their faces here. So these are the ambassadors. So these ambassadors, we have officially given them letters, and there are some. So two of them, like Henry and Vivian, they voluntarily decided to join because of the way we do the activities and the way we are doing promoting the resources. And he also thought that he has limited resources in their universities, and therefore it will be very prudent for them to promote add these resources to her resources, and then promote more of the Research for Life product. So these two, we have not given them letters yet, but the other official ones, we have formally given them a letter. So let's look at some few activities that we have looked at, and on issue of the advocacy bit. So what I will say here, that the local advocacy and awareness here, that we have worked to raise awareness, but as I say, the country connectors, and then the support of the ambassadors to with awareness about the Research for Life within the country, advocating for importance of access to scientific information and promoting the benefit of participating in the Research for Life program. And then also in terms of training, help in facilitating training and workshops. So I can also tell you that some people, we can see some videos that someone is talking about the benefit, is a PhD student talking about the benefit of Research for Life and all that. So these are some of the things that we do. We promote the training, if there's any training, for people to join. And when they join, they become so happy. So we organize training sessions and workshops to educate researchers on how to effectively utilize the resources provided by Research for Life. And this, I believe, that was done by enhancing digital literacy and research information literacy. And also more on the advocacy, building community of evidence users. So we have also played a very critical role in fostering sense of community among researchers, librarians, and other professionals who benefit from Research for Life. And I will say here that this community building has facilitated collaboration and knowledge sharing. I mean, all these I'm talking about, you can also feel it and see it when people are talking. And so maybe I think we have some few videos, maybe along the line, we'll share it and then put it on either Twitter or on Research for Life advocacy marketing platform. And then the issue of feedback, we also take feedback from our users. So we have been acting as a bridge between local researchers, librarians, publishers, and the broader Research for Life initiative. And then we have also collected feedback on the effectiveness of the program. And we have also identified specific needs and we have communicated them for potential improvement. And so I believe that on Gretchen's presentation, I realized he has getting a lot of our feedback on board, and we have improved, and which has also improved the usage of the resources. Then the issue of promoting global knowledge exchange, which I believe that we have also we have encouraged and facilitated cross-border collaboration where local researchers contribute to and benefit from the local scientific community by actively participating in the Research for Life program. Now, when you go to Google Scholar, many scholars, their profile, you can see a lot of their papers, you can see them in Research for Life, on the Research for Life platform. So still on advocacy, this gentleman had a very fantastic presentation, a TV presentation with one of the biggest TV station. Actually went on the radio, it went on the TV, and also went on their website on the showcasing and telling the world and more about those in Ghana about the benefit of using Research for Life and what it can give researchers, what it can do and what it can promote in terms of the research endeavor. Then on the 29th of March, we had a webinar, publishers webinar. So that's what we had here. And we had Sarah and Lenny and Blessing all coming on board to help us to do this fantastic workshop. And I can see that it was very useful. We can see that even the usage, the registration and the access of this webinar, those who participated, were 136 of them participating in this webinar. And I can say here that 75% said it was very useful, and then 25% said useful. So in effect, the whole thing was very, very useful. So that is it. So maybe I'll pause here and then let Eric come in, and then he can continue from that left of. Eric, please, you can go ahead.
Right, thank you, Richie. Okay, so at some point, we were informed that part of Research for Life's policy was to support low and middle income countries, and as and when the countries are doing better, then they are graduated into a different category. And so Ghana and Kenya fell into that category where were being upgraded. But then from librarians and information professionals, didn't show that when that got to, be part of the project. So then we discussed with Blessing and the team to have a webinar, where we educate members of the two countries about, the impending progression, and for them to also put in their input and to see the way forward. And so participants from the two countries, Ghana and Kenya, we had 78, librarians, lecturers, and other administrative individuals participating. And so at the end, the outcome, as we found out from the partners meeting in the US, was that it is being considered that looking at the situation, they couldn't promote the two countries to that group, and so it had to be held on. And so members of the two countries were very happy about this, and so it showed that the webinar worked, and we would like to appreciate Blessing and the team for coming in to educate members about that. Next slide, please. Yes, and then also on the 13th of July, we also had a local pop webinar. So once we got wind of the need, the country connectors list of all the local journals in the country, both institutions and the Lenny, to have a workshop to educate them on how Research for Life can support. And so with that, we had about 37 editors and assistant editors and the editorial team in general joining in this some of the participants in the webinar.
Eric, you're breaking up a little bit. I don't know if you can come closer to your speaker or if it's just some problem that you're having locally.
Okay. All right. Is it on this slide? On this or before now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, right. So on this, we're saying that we plan to have, and we had an engagement, publishers engagement with the local publishers in Ghana. So part of Research for Life's plan was to promote and support local journals to help them reach their full potential. So with that, we Sarah.
Rick, it looks like your line is still breaking. It's still breaking. So
maybe Richard, would you be able to take over?
All right, thank you very much. All right, so hello, Eric. Your line is really breaking and we can't hear you. So let me take over from here. Maybe you can position yourself well and they can join us. So we had a local publishers engagement, we had this webinar, and then we had quite a lot of people joining. And so we have the publishers within Ghana. So you can even see some of the, okay, well, you don't know them, but I can, from on the page, on the screen, I can see some of the, my editor-in-chief is even here, my university journal editor-in-chief is online, and you can see them here. So quite a lot of them joined, and they contributed powerfully in terms of what their needs were and what how they can collaborate with Research for Life. Okay, so we also had a workshop. So part of the training, we also had a workshop. Erica. Eric, are you okay now? All right. So on the 4th to 5th November last year, we also had an in-person workshop for colleges, librarians from the colleges of education. You know, in Ghana, we have a consortium that buy or subscribe for e-resources on behalf of the universities in Ghana. These colleges of education cannot buy and they cannot join, and therefore they are limited with resources. So it was a very good idea for them to have these resources, Research for Life resources, and then now know how to use them, the librarians, and then go and show their faculty members how to use it and increase the usage. So we had a training for the colleges of Ghana, and it was a very useful workshop that they attended. So these are some of the pictures. So we have some few pictures that I think, can we move to the next slide, please? Hello? Yeah, so these are some of the pictures that the people who attended. So we, the country connectors, all of us three came down to the middle part of Ghana, and then we facilitated a workshop. And then we also had one of the ambassador trying to join to also be part of this workshop. And then again, we also, as part of advocacy and awareness and trying to promote the Research for Life project, on the 23rd November, one country connector, which is Eric Amwafu, went to Ghana Library Association AGM conference and also did a presentation, and did actually not a presentation, that's a hands-on training for the librarians who attended, who may not be aware of some of those. So these were the topics covered: the introduction to Research for Life advocacy toolkit, the marketing strategies for Research for Life resources, and then how to use the reference management software, which is the Mendeley. And then there was also, you know, the mini grants that Blessing mentioned. We have one here in the middle part of Ghana, and then one in the northern, and then one in the south. So this one is the one that was conducted at the north. So northern sector, there was a workshop for faculty of members from the technical university. 83 of them attended, and this is what. So the person standing there is one of the ambassadors trying to do a training on that. And again, there was another one in the middle part of Ghana, which we also concentrated on the Research Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. We targeted 4 institutes, and then they also came. So these are also some of the pictures that are showing. So there are also things that we also talked about. A lot of them even have not even heard of. Many of them had not even heard of Research for Life. So it was also good for some of them in a particular institute, getting to know about them. One institute, I mean, I can tell you they were not aware at all. So it was very good, all to increase the use of Research for Life resources and also to showcase the impact of Research for Life on a global. So we also have some small groups. So sometimes PhD students, we organize a small group for PhD students. And then we also had a workshop that was not mainly for Research for Life, but we were able to push Research for Life. These people wanted a training on to build their capacity on the library resource and library services, but we were able to push in Research for Life activity because they came down to the middle part of Ghana, which is my university, and then we were able to push a slot of Research for Life activity or the resources in there, and it was a very good one. So areas of growth, hello Eric, are you there, or I should go ahead? All right, so areas of growth, the need for the support of the service is an area that we have to look at. Registration of new institutions is an area that we have to also look at. Reactivation of registered but unusing institutions are the things that we are also thinking of also moving up. And the promotion of research among academics and research institutions through the librarians within Ghana. So these are some few statistics summary of the workshop and of the training that we have conducted. So the registration and access webinar, we had 136. Kenya, Ghana transition webinar, we had this 78. Publishers engagement webinar, we have 37 coming. College of Education workshop, we have 39. Ghana Library Association AGM, we have 56 of them attending. Mini grants on the North, we also had 83 of coming. And then the one from the southern sector, we asked for the 3. So, you know, we have done 400, we have touched lives of 472 people. So in summary, I would say that Research for Life Country Connectors in Ghana act as a catalyst for building a vibrant and interconnected community of researchers. And here we are playing a major role in connecting researchers, building communities, and facilitating global knowledge exchange. And I would say here we are truly representative coordinators, and I would say advocates within Ghana who work to enhance participation in Research for Life and fostering collaboration among researchers. So I would say here, thank you very much for Research for Life for giving us this platform, this opportunity. Actually, I have to thank Ghana Library Association and then extend it to Research for Life. And most importantly, Blessing for guiding us three to do our work effectively. Thank you very much.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Richard. And sorry, Eric, you broke up a bit for us, but thank you so much. And delighted to discover that Richard became a superstar as being part of our Country Connectors. So there's lots of extra benefits for doing this. So I'm hoping now Stephen Brown is with us. Stephen, can you hear me? So Stephen is our Country Connector in Liberia, and I'm hoping he's here on the line, but I can't see his name down the very long list.
He was here earlier, but I think maybe the access cut out.
Ah, okay. Right, I'm just going to end my show and move on, because I could move forward to my slides, and then if Stephen turns back up, we can pick back up with him. So my slot really was to introduce you really to our longer term strategy. So Gresham mentioned our 4 core areas of focus, and we're starting to pivot towards our new strategy. And rather fancy. So our longer term strategy is really rooted in building knowledge exchange north and south, and building a global knowledge base to benefit all researchers around the world. So in the near term, we really have to focus on delivering value for our users, so for researchers and librarians, but also to our funders and partners. And for the Discovery Portal, as you'll see in the blue, this means really focusing on measuring our success. So we must really understand our user journeys and the usage better to know how to improve our portal service so that access is easy, for example, as Richard was mentioning, through Google Scholar. So equally, we want to build up our regional publishing coverage, and our Country Connector programme is starting that process of ensuring that local journals can get covered in the directory of open access journals, and then they'll be available and sit alongside the content that's already in the portal. And then for our new equity committee, so here in orange, this area called Exchange, our focus here is on increasing participation. And initially what we want to do is undertake a survey that checks on some of our priorities. We already have some ideas about where we want to focus, areas like language tools, best practice on inclusion by lower middle income country researchers in journals, so not only as authors, but also as peer reviewers and editors. And we want that survey to enable us to test some of our ideas out and to focus the activities of the Equity Committee. Then our capacity development team have been working on a funding proposal for something we're calling the Knowledge Base. And this is a research skills training catalogue, drawing together the wealth of training resources that are already out there amongst various different parties. And we want to bring them all together into one catalogue, so you can search across the catalogue from areas from research design through to publishing, policy and practice communications, for example. So we need to drive funding through Friends of Research for Life. And we see important here is the focus on our impact. So we're working with the marketing communications team to work through our impact reporting. So there's obviously numbers that we can report on, but also we want to build up our library of user stories and videos to complement the more factual kind of data. And we're seeking financial support. As Richard mentioned, it can be really difficult to shift from Group A to Group B and then suddenly have to pay a fee. And as a result, we don't have as wide access as we'd like to in Research for Life. So we're seeking financial support to waive the Group B fees for all institutions going forward. And we hope we may be able to transition some of our loyal subscribers in Group B to support the partnership through a Friends of Research for Life membership, because we still need that money to run our operations, and that's critical to our success. So our strategy is evolving as we learn from the really excellent work of our country connectors, as you heard some of today. And this will help us really to understand which projects need funding from partners, publishers, and the philanthropists in the future. So we hope that work will continue to feed into our fundraising team also. So I'm going to stop there and see if we have Stephen on the line. And if he's
Actually, Sarah, he had an emergency, so.
Okay, well, so I'm going to finish up there, which actually we went slightly over time anyway, because we got more slides in than I'd expected. So we'll hand over now, I think, for questions, and Kimberly, you're going to take the lead.
Okay, so feel free to raise your hand if you have a question using the reactions function of Zoom. And I also see that some people have put some questions in the Q&A section of Zoom as well. So if no one sticks their hand up immediately, I can pick some questions out of the Q&A, or we can alternate live questions and Q&A if there's a lot of people who have questions. While you're working your courage to stick your hand up, if that is coming, I will take a question from the Q&A. Actually, there were two questions in this in the Q&A about the ambassadors of the Country Connectors. And maybe, Blessing, you can answer this live as well, in case there were other people wondering. The gist of what I'm seeing is how does someone expressed interest in becoming an ambassador? So if you could answer that one, Blessing.
Okay, thank you, Kim. And really thank you for all the interest, especially to the colleagues who want to become ambassadors. So if you'd like to become an ambassador, I've put a link to some of the contact details for the country connectors in your country. Please reach out to them and they'll be able to take you through the process and aid you as ambassadors in the countries that you're based in. If there are no contact details for your specific country, I'll put my email address in the chat right now, and you can feel free to write to me. If I think there was, is that the only question, Kim?
There were two people already expressing their interest in the possibility of being an ambassador in the Q&A. So I think that we've answered both of them. There was, I'm still not seeing any hands up, so I'll go with the administrative question, which was whether this meeting recording will be shared and where is it going to be so that someone can pick that up. So is that for you, Chedza, or? Okay, I'm not seeing.
Bilyamin has his hand up, I think.
Yeah,
Oh.
we'll answer the administrative question shortly, but I am aware that there will be a recording and it may end up on, it's most likely to end up on the Research for Life website if we don't give you more specific details. So let's go ahead and take the question from Bilyamin.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Oh, thank you, Kim, and thank you, Sarah, Blessing, and everyone, for these wonderful presentations. I think it's actually showing the giving an evidence of how much the Country Connector program is valuable to getting Research for Life more used in our countries. And my few questions are one, because I think I'm aware initially the plan was to scale up to some other countries, and I've not really heard much about that. What plans are on ground to scale up the Country Connector program to other countries? And then do we have some reports from some countries that have Country Connectors but are in the Group B section of the Research for Life? From my experience, I'm aware there's a whole lot of difference between being a Group A and being a Group B country. When Nigeria moved to Group B, it's really affected a lot, and it's been a lot of efforts trying to convince people to say, let's subscribe to Research for Life and all that. So there's a whole lot of difference when you move from Group A to Group B. And I have some stories that that really even buttresses that some people even thought Research for Life was shut down one way or the other, so they didn't even they were not aware that they now had to pay on, or maybe they didn't take cognizance, or maybe take that as important. So I would have loved to hear some report from countries that are in Group B who have Country Connectors, and now this is working so that we can, and then the evaluation that we saw, I would have loved to see some benchmarking so that we'll see what has been happening before that time Country Connector started, and then we'll be able to benchmark their evaluation with what is happening now, because I see more of undulating results. So it will really be good to see the impact based on something that has, based on a benchmark, so that we can actually scale it up, the Country Connector program, so that we can actually scale it up and make it more successful. So that's my questions. Those are my questions for now. Thank you.
Okay, so you have given us a challenge, Bilyamin, because I think you asked about 3 or 4 things in that one, but we'll work on them. So one quick question I can answer without even needing to refer it to Blessing is which country connectors are in Group B. So currently we have El Salvador, which just joined at the end of last year, so they may not have a lot of experience yet in supporting as a country connector in a Group B country, but El Salvador has been in Group B for a number of years, so they have that experience even without the country connector situation in the country. Republic of Moldova also joined as a country connector right at the end of last year, and they just moved from Group A to Group B in 2024. So they have that very fresh experience, but they're still coming on board, and I'm not sure we even have our country connectors from Moldova with us today. So we can share that experience, but we may not be able to share it right here. So the next question you had was about benchmarking, and maybe Blessing could answer that one. And then I'm seeing a few things appear in QA and chat that we can try and respond to as well.
Thank you, Kim, and thank you, Bilyamin, for those questions. With the benchmarking, so we do have a report that we did. We do run an annual report. So last year we ran one which showed the implementation of projects. This year we are currently working on a report which is going to show that benchmarking more clearly, because last year we didn't have enough data to really compare the significance. So this year we have much more data, and once this report is published and finalized, we'll make sure that it goes out also to the user community. and you'll be able to see some of the impact in the different 6 outcomes that I spoke about earlier, and some of what we're seeing coming out of the countries. But thank you for that contribution. I think that was the main comment. And just to note that we do have some colleagues from the Group B countries who have joined us, but like Kim indicated, not everyone, because of time, we didn't manage to have everyone present from their countries.
Okay, I'm also seeing someone asking a question about the difference between connectors and ambassadors. So Blessing, maybe you can clarify that just a little bit?
All right, thank you. So country connectors refers to I think we use the same terminology. It refers to the host institution that we sign an official agreement with in the country. We refer to them as country connectors. In turn, they then assign some of their staff members to then work as lead staff to implement the project on behalf of the institution and the partnership with Research for Life. So we also refer to them as country connectors. So those are that's the definition of a country connector. They work at national level and liaise directly with Research for Life. The ambassadors are then the users and librarians or researchers in the country who then are based at different institutions who would like to work to support the work of the country connectors. So the ambassadors, we do not necessarily need to have an official agreement with their institutions, but they are those that put up their hands to say, I'm here, I'm interested in Research for Life. I would like to get this work going in my institution or in my community. And you reach out to myself or to the country connectors, and we're able to aid you as an ambassador. So that's open to anyone within the countries where we have started the implementation.
Thank you, Blessing. There was a question in the chat about how, particularly in Ethiopia, but I think it applies to any country, how the access could be established. And so I replied to it saying it may be helpful for you to review the frequently asked questions, because it says how do you establish the connection, and answers a lot of other questions that you may have as someone not so familiar with Research for Life. So I suggest starting there, and that will hopefully answer your question without taking a lot of time in this meeting. I'm seeing some more questions about in the Q&A about what are the specific requirements for the country connector. That may be too detailed for you to reply now, Blessing, but I'll leave that for you.
So maybe this was a bit summarized in my presentation. So to become a country connector, we have a process that we follow. First, initially to pick the countries, because we have 125 plus countries who are participating within Research for Life. And then once we have that list and it goes through the rubric and through the consultation within the partnership, we then pick the institutions or associations to then partner with in the country, also using another rubric to ensure that we are able to measure everyone with the same indicators.
Okay, thank you. I'm seeing another question about is there a country connector yet or an ambassador in Uganda?
We are currently engaging one of the institutions in Uganda to see their availability to become a country connector in Uganda. Once we have that full information, we'll make it publicly available on the Research for Life website.
And another one for Blessing. We're just keeping you busy. Are the country connectors and staff paid by Research for Life?
Yes and no. So I'll say, because it's a partnership, we do not provide an outright salary, but an honorarium for the country connectors from the initiative from Research for Life. And the host institution on the partner also provides a payment because they are putting part of the time of their own staff to work on the project. So it is a partnership, and we are able to support as much as possible the country connectors.
And there seems to be a certain amount of interest in Nigeria. And the last question posed is, who are the country connectors for Nigeria?
We are currently not implementing in Nigeria yet. So once we are in Nigeria, again, we will also make that information publicly available. Similar to, I think, the question about Egypt.
Yeah, so maybe, Blessing, you can repost the list of countries, since that was a while back in the chat and people may have missed it with the many messages coming into the chat. That may help as well. So there was a question from Onan in the Q&A about, this is rebranding Research for Life, and kindly advise if we have mobility arrangements for the country connectors for those in one country to support activities to those in a neighboring country.
Do you want me to go for that, Kim?
Yeah, why don't you? It may also be something that, yeah, feel free to answer. I was going to say that our country connector colleagues could answer, but probably better once from you.
All right. No, that's good. So we talk about country connectors, but we are very cognizant of having a regional approach. So we have had instances, I think the question was from Uganda, where we have country connectors also reaching out to their neighboring countries. So we really are aware and pay particular attention to what is happening in a specific region. So for us, it really speaks to one of our objectives, which is to foster those South-to-South collaborations. So if you've got interest and you're in a neighboring country or within the region of the countries that I'll share on the chat, please also let us know.
Okay, and then there was a request from, I think it's Colombia in Spanish, so forgive my brief assumptions about what it's saying, but I think the question is asking about the transcription of this webinar into Spanish, because looking at the archives, is it possible to send an email if there is a Spanish transcription that becomes available? Maybe someone like Gabby can check and make sure that that is indeed what was being asked in the question. And then there is a suggestion about participating in some upcoming conferences. Advocacy is needed. Well, maybe this is an opportunity for someone like Gratian to talk about all of you as their user community taking ownership and doing advocacy yourselves. But I'll let maybe Gratian can answer that about representation in conferences.
Indeed, thanks a lot, Kim. In line with our strategic plan and ensuring that the voices are actually coming from you, the researchers, from you, the librarians, from you, the constituencies that are actually benefiting from Research for Life. We do have, like Kim has indicated, a user group, and which is quite big. We've got up to about 100 participants, and we're always welcoming new users to join that group, and we are always stepping into the experiences and the knowledge of those users, and of course the networks that they do have. And really, we are looking forward to having you representing Research for Life, talking about Research for Life in the different spaces, including the conferences, technical meetings, workshops, and places like that, where you are giving the word out and making sure that other researchers can also take advantage of these resources. So please get in touch with us here at iTalker, at italka.org. We are always happy to work with you as a user representative and joining us in our meetings. Thank you very much. we can put that address in the chat. I'm going to do that.
Yes, I would also highly recommend if you're sharing information with colleagues or with, if you want to look for more information for yourself, because this was an early introduction to Research for Life for you, that you look at the Research for Life website, which I'll put in the chat, because there is a lot of information there about Research for Life, about how to get signed up for the access, about how to share information with others, your senior administrators or colleagues in other institutions. So it will give you some pieces of information that will allow you to share or to learn more yourself. There's always something new coming along. I am not seeing any further open questions in the Q&A, and I think I've captured all the questions in the chat, although there was a lot coming past, so I might have missed something. And I no longer see any hands up. So
Kimberly, I wondered if we might ask our country connectors, just to anybody who feels like saying what they think the highlights are of their work so far.
maybe some of the ones who didn't present today?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, well, we're putting them on the spot. So let's see, Grace or Agatha, are either of you there and want to say a few words?
Hello, Kim.
Hi, Grace, go ahead.
Yes, we planned with Agatha that Agatha is going to present today, so I'll leave this to Agatha to say something.
Okay, thanks, Grace. Agatha? Well, at least we saw Grace's
everybody.
face. There you are, Agatha. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity. I think our presentation is on 29th. We will do the presentation that day. But for today, I would just want to congratulate Richard for the good work that they have been doing in Ghana. And I learned a lot on the way they handled the issues and attend to user queries and offer services related to Research for Life. That's all.
Thanks, Agatha. I'm seeing that we have Mandia here. I'm not sure if we also have Tamsir, but maybe Mandia, you might want to say a few words in French, just for any of the colleagues who've joined us in the user community who are happier hearing things in French, if you're willing.
Thank you, Kim, and thank you, Blessing, also. It is a pleasure. I think that the work that we have today is just to say congrats, big congrats to Richard and his team. We are really inspired from what they have done on the ground. We are at the beginning. We just begin working in this project at the last quarter of the last year. We had just the opportunity to participate in to try to have slot in a workshop of our national consortium of libraries, and we done a presentation there, and also another slot with the biennial of research, where we participate in an exhibition, and we had the opportunity in that international events held in Senegal to reach many users of Research for Life, even for our own university. We met there researchers who discover what we were doing in our university in that event. And that make us know that there is a lot of challenges, because within our own community, there are persons who discover just the things out of that. what we say that really we are really inspired, and we from what we have learned today. Tamsi is with us also, and French sometimes may be challenging things with our English, but we see that the richest language is universal. Thank you for all the things shared today.
Merci beaucoup, Mandia.
Merci. Saïdou.
Our time has ended, but for those of our country connectors who are with us and who have cameras and bandwidth able to turn on your cameras, it'd be very nice just to see your faces before we all say goodbye. So I'm seeing lovely, lovely connections for some of our country connectors. Isabel and Agatha and Grace and Margarita and Mandia and Tamsir and Miriam. Oh, lovely to see everyone. So there are more. I'm sure people are driving or or just don't have a good camera connection at the moment. But thank you all, and I'll turn it back to Sarah.
Thanks so much, Kimberly. Very ably chaired. That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for spending this time with us to learn a little bit more about what Research for Life is doing right now and what we hope to do in the future. I want to thank Blessing, Gratian, Eric and Richard and Stephen for putting his slides together, even though he didn't manage to speak to us, but hopefully we'll be able to share some of his work with you anyway. We'll find a way to do that. But thank you so much for the time, and we look forward to meeting you again soon. Bye.